Good afternoon. Welcome to week 2 for educational research and applications. Great work. Thanks for all of you that have posted your videos already. I'm still working through watching all of them, and it's only Saturday, so not everybody has had a chance yet. But it's great to meet you all again and hear about the topic that you're considering exploring in this course. A lot of you have some pretty great ideas already. Some of you are still farther back in the developing phase, and both of those are 100% okay. We're going to work on refining this week and try to get to a pretty concrete topic by the end of week 3. So your focus for this week is selecting your topic and research question, continuing to practice navigating Concordia's online library, beginning with ProQuest and ERIC databases. It's often helpful to use more than one database, as they don't always have the same articles and sometimes have slightly different focuses. And just, brushing up on our APA resources. Just a reminder about the program essential question. In light of what is known about how children learn, how shall professional educators best promote resilience and recovery for the children and their families who have experienced traumatic events? As you guys can remember, that is, sadly, a majority of our students have experienced at least one traumatic life event. And choosing a topic, it's all about finding a sweet spot. You don't want a topic that's so broad that you could never cover all of the research that's already been done, and you don't want something so narrow that nobody else has looked at anything close to it. You want to find that sweet spot where some research has been done that's at least tangential, but it's not been done so much that you could write several books on it. You want to be looking at, a couple of variables, not just one and not 100. So again, that sweet spot in the middle where you're looking at probably 2 to 3 variables. And make sure that you somehow connect to the essential question. So far, everybody's that I have listened to does connect, but you'll want to make sure when you're writing your literature review that connection is made very obvious and concrete. Just a quick run through of our 3 assignments. The CITI training, you can start at any point. I highly recommend doing it as soon as possible. That is due week 8, and that is worth the most points. Your proposal for a research topic is due week 3, so make sure you are working on that now. And lastly, your literature review. These slides are used for several different types of cohorts, not just ours. Your literature review, which is worth 150 points, is due week 7. So if you were to be working ahead and getting CITI training done early, you only have 2 other assignments to do, and they build on each other. So it is very possible that you could be done with this course week 7 rather than week 8, possibly even earlier if you turn in your literature review early. Our weekly schedule, this Monday is a holiday, but the discussion boards, because they build up to that assignment for week 3, I would still like them to stick to the Thursday, Saturday schedule. You guys know all of this. All of your discussion board posts so far have been great. Just a reminder, 200 words, and responses to cohort peers should be at least 100 words. Include APA citations, unless told you don't need any. In Blackboard, you can find all of these things. I still recommend getting the 7th edition book. I always had that out when I was working on my literature review and my dissertation, because it was nice to have a hard copy. As I was already typing the paper on my computer, it's nice to just have it next to it and not have to worry about going back and forth between different windows. Your activities and readings for week 2. Galvin, chapters 2, 3, and 4. Lambert, chapter 1. Review the APA resources. And then we have 1 discussion board this week with 2 questions. So question 1, is what are some ways to narrow the topic in your research? And question 2 is what are some specific searches that you have used to narrow or broaden that's worded really badly. I'll come back to that one. So yeah, I'm looking at it. So just some thoughts. This is the discussion board question right here. What are some ways to narrow the topic in your research, and what are some specific searches that you have used that have narrowed and or broadened the search field in your research experience? It is a very badly worded question, but in essence, how can you narrow your topic? And what are some specific things you have done to narrow or broaden your research? You could be looking for something very specific and not finding anything, and therefore needed to, cast your net farther. Or you may have done a search and come back with the maximum number of responses from EBSCO and been overwhelmed and needed to find a way to narrow it. Another thing that I would like you to work on / think about is what are primary sources of information and what are secondary sources of information? Describe the discernment process needed to determine what sources you should use for your literature review. I will point out that both of these are allowed in APA, but they're not treated equally. One is definitely preferred to the other. So as you're looking, keep that in mind. Here's an example research question. How do restorative practices impact school climate for students in high school settings who have experienced traumatic events? That's actually a pretty good one. My research question went through probably 15 to 20 different iterations for my dissertation. For this and even the capstone project, it probably won't be anywhere near that many, but know that if you don't get your research question 100% right on the first time, that is to be expected. It would be very strange to just hit the nail on the head on a research question your very first attempt. And with that in mind, what I would like you to do to respond to this video is post 2 to 3 variations of or ideas of for your research question. Please then go back and comment on at least one of your peers with ideas on refinement of that question, or even just ranking them 1, 2, and 3, which ones you like the best. It's always a good idea to workshop your question with others. They're going to see things that you don't, or maybe have a little bit different thought on just the wording, not necessarily changing the question, but sometimes just changing a few words here and there can make a massive difference. So at least one, if you have time to go through and look at more, I would greatly appreciate it. And I'm sure your colleagues would appreciate it as well. I look forward to, seeing the rest of your guys' videos as they come in, as well as seeing your questions as they come in. If you guys have any questions about the assignments, discussion boards, or just this whole process of starting research, please feel free to email me and I will do my best to respond as quickly as possible. On a side note, many of you have wished me luck on my interview. Thank you very much. It went excellently. I interviewed Thursday, and the interview panel was actually 3 people that I work with on a daily basis, which definitely brings the stress level down a little bit. And the morning after, I was given an unofficial job offer, and we just have to wait for HR to get back for the specifics. So thank you all for all of your best wishes, and good luck this week.